If the aim is to understand the 20th century political and intellectual evolution and the modern formation of the Chinese state, then the study of the evolutionary republican period from 1912 to 1949 becomes unavoidable because this was the long and turbulent phase in which China, after the end of a centuries old imperial system, struggled to attain its proper identity due to the challenges of nation state formation, democracy, militarized politics, ideological confrontation, and foreign aggression. This very historical experience later laid the ideological and institutional foundations of the modern Chinese state. Immediately after the fall of the Qing dynasty, on the 1st of January 1912, Sun Yat-sen became the provisional president of the Republic of China in Nanjing, which brought about the end of a 2000-year imperial tradition and the establishment of Asia's first republic, whose philosophical foundation rested on the three principles of the people, including Chinese nationalism, democracy, and people's welfare. Sun Yat sen was a renowned political thinker and revolutionary leader who is regarded as the founder of modern China. However, the practical balance of power soon altered the course of political struggle, as the northern military leader Yuan Shikai exerted military and political pressure on the Qing dynasty and forced it to abdicate power. In return, Shikai promised to maintain national unity and ensure the protection of revolutionary leaders. Because of this pressure, Sun Yat sen was compelled to resign in April 1912 to prevent civil war and to place the administration of the state in strong hands. Consequently, the capital was shifted to Beijing and the state came under the influence of a powerful military leader. In his role as a dominant general and political player, Yuan Shikai prioritized authoritarian power over democratic principles. Subsequently, the assassination of Song Jiaren in 1913 and actions taken against the Kuomintang party, which held a parliamentary majority, plunged the democratic system into a severe crisis. Thus, the second revolutionary movement failed. Yat sen went into exile. Parliament was dissolved, and Shikai acquired absolute powers, even proclaiming himself emperor in 1915, against which a national protection war broke out, and ultimately, with his death in 1916, China fell into complete political chaos. After this, from 1916 to 1928, the era of warlords began, in which various military factions controlled the central government, northern politics, and Manchuria, and continuous civil wars kept state unity paralyzed. Although China cooperated with Britain, France, Russia, and other Allied powers during the First World War and stood against Germany and its allies, internal disorder and bloody power struggles persisted. China played an important role for the Allies, particularly by providing local supplies and labor in the German occupied Shandong province, as a result of which the Allied countries promised China foreign loans, modern weapons, and industrial assistance. Through this contribution, China obtained some financial and military benefits under the pretext of participation in the World War, and in some provinces, modern military training and industrial experiments also began. However, political instability remained prevalent in most parts of the country. During this time, Sun Yat sen established a parallel government in southern China and, with the cooperation of the Soviet Union, reorganized the Kuomintang, which resulted in the formation of the First United Front with the Communist Party in 1924, and through the establishment of the Whampoa Military Academy, laid the foundation of a modern national revolutionary army in which Chiang Kai-shek acquired a key military role. Chiang Kai-shek was a famous general and political leader who later led the Nanjing government. Yat-sen, who went into exile after resigning from the presidency, nevertheless continued to exert influence as a political and revolutionary leader. He kept running a parallel government and political movements in southern China and continued to take steps toward national unity despite pressure from the Northern Army. After Yat-sen's death in 1925, Chiang Kai-shek consolidated power and launched the Northern Expedition in 1926, through which a large part of the territory was conquered and the Nanjing government was established in 1928. However, the Shanghai Massacre of 1927 and the anti-communist crackdown ended the alliance and gave rise to civil war. During the Nanjing decade, efforts at modernization were made, such as tariff autonomy, infrastructure development, currency reforms, legal codification, and the promotion of education, but corruption, the failure of agrarian reforms, and anti communist military campaigns damaged the government's credibility, as a result of which the communist movement strengthened popular support in rural areas and organized its leadership through the Long March. The Mukden incident, also called the railway bombing in southern Manchu territory, occurred on the 18th of September 1931 when the Japanese army staged an explosion on the South Manchuria Railway and falsely blamed Chinese forces. Using this event as a pretext, Japan seized the region entirely and established the puppet state of Manchukuo. This incident marked the beginning of Japanese aggression, which escalated into the full scale Sino Japanese War in 1937. During this conflict, Japan occupied key cities such as Shanghai and Nanjing, and the Nanjing Massacre became one of the most infamous atrocities in modern history. Meanwhile, the national government relocated its capital to Chongqing and continued resistance under the Second United Front, although the war caused severe devastation to the country's economy, society, and governmental structures. Not only this, but after Japan's defeat in 1945, civil war resumed, in which the American supported nationalist forces, despite initial superiority, continued to be defeated by communist forces due to corruption, weak administration, and lack of popular support until after the capture of Nanjing and Shanghai, Chiang Kai shek moved to Taiwan, and on the 1st of October 1949, Mao Zedong announced the establishment of the People's Republic of China, marking the end of the Republican era on the Chinese mainland and the beginning of the Communist era. Mao Zedong was the ideological leader of the Communist Party and the architect of China's long term strategy. This entire Republican period is not merely a history of administrative changes, but a comprehensive example of the interaction of political struggle, militarized politics, foreign aggression, and popular revolution, which taught China the lesson that without state unity, popular support, ideological discipline, and institutional stability, the establishment of a modern nation state is not possible. This very historical experience later became the intellectual foundation of China's communist state building, central discipline, and long term strategy, which set China on the path from internal chaos to becoming a global power. If Pakistani leaders, by emulating China, are also able to save their economy, society, and state structure from further decline and at the same time focus on popular support, the protection of principled boundaries, the strengthening of administrative structures, and institutional stability, then the foundations of the Pakistani state may once again begin to strengthen, and the people of the nation may collectively contribute in attaining these principles so that accountability can also be imposed on those politicians who have continued to suck this country like leeches.